I do believe that what you're saying makes a lot of sense.
So we all can say that Cardi B does benefit from colorism. Some people have even said that
Beyonce benefits from colorism.
Yeah,
right.
She does.
If Beyonce does,
Surely Cardi B does.
So someone's argument is that I'm not sure who it was. It might have been who I think it is, but I don't want to say their name. But they have said that Nicki Minaj is looked at differently, even though she benefits from colorism too. She's looked at differently versus Cardi B. Cardi B doesn't be called the angry black woman like Nicki Minaj would be called.
I agree.
What?
That's what they say. They said that Nicki Minaj.
Okay, that's a big conversation.
I do think that I do think it's easier for them to call her an angry black woman versus Cardi B. I do
You think it's easier for them to call Nicki Minaj that?
Yes.
I think Nicki Minaj now, sure, but Nicki Minaj built her career in almost the same way that Cardi B has. Except mixtape was more popular then, so you didn't get you don't get the reality TV show from Nicki Minaj, of course. But
Nicki Minaj was on social media like that.
No, but that's what I'm saying is that you don't get that. But Cardi B, like this ratchet ghetto like banshee woman that we get from Cardi B is what we got from Nicki Minaj. That's why you don't fucking turn on Itty Bitty Piggy in any club, in any party, and not get everybody jumping on the floor, twerking down and shit like that.
But you don't twerk.
Okay, girl, that's not the point. My point is that Nicki Minaj, the genesis of her career looked just like Cardi's in terms of like her presentation and how she came off and what she was doing. Like I think that's where we get back to Lil' Kim and Lil' Kim being the blueprint, because that whole aesthetic is what it was like, very very soft but also very hard, very femme but also very masked. Like, and that's what their aesthetic is. And I think that Nicki Minaj gets called angry black woman today because people told Nicki Minaj that who she was before was not good enough, and that she had to transition in order to remain in mainstream. Mm-hmm. And I think that is unfair, and that's a critique of anti-blackness and misogynoir.
Do you believe that a lot of the black audience or black men fetishize Spanish women?
Absolutely.
But I don't think that Cardi B's audience is primarily black. Honestly, I think that it's changed. I think it's changing a little bit. I think
she's gotten to her career enough for it to change.
I think that white people appreciate Cardi B now because honestly, I don't think
they don't appreciate her. White people like to.
They appreciate what she can bring.
Analyze her.
Yeah, there's a reason why she's on all of these. I'm gonna say this, Cardi B. When you go onto these shows, girl, when you go onto these shows and you do this, you got to be careful. That's the same thing I have to do as a black gay man, and even in small spaces. When I work a job, I make sure that they understand that I'm a homosexual, even if I have to, flirt with, like, say, "Oh, he was cute" or something, just to get that bullshit out of the way, because I don't want to hear no homophobic ass bullshit.
Yeah.
But when they say, "Ooh, bitch, boost," yes, God,
yes,
girl,
God, honey, you do hair.
I'm not gonna say yes. I don't immediately say yes, bitch. I don't. Now we can do it in our spaces. But I know the moment I do that, it's think
gonna be automatic.
That's all I am.
Now I'm a caricature.
Yes, so I can understand when Azealia Banks says that because Cardi B, funny, I love it, gets my life. But there's certain things I don't do in the spaces with white people because I know how they.
And we shouldn't
have to on her.
That is
a critique. I think that when we start telling black folks to police how they move in spaces because of white people and their reactions, that is anti-black as fuck. Like, it's not on Cardi B to behave or to fix her behavior so that white people can be more confident.
I'm saying be aware.
Absolutely.
And she is not.
She's not.
But I also think that even if she is aware, white people are going to continue to bring her into these spaces because they like laughing at her, because they like making characters.
So why would you be comfortable with that? You just said they like laughing at her.
Right.
And analyze where you are and what you're doing.
Why should she have to change that? Because
she should not. She should not. But if I know someone is laughing at me, I'm going to move to different spaces.
I think they still do the same thing to Nicki Minaj.
Of course they do, but she's in more control of what she's doing than Cardi B is. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But
If you know that, you just said it, and I don't believe that she does not know that. You just said that they laugh at her, not with her,
At her, yeah.
And so I'm not saying change who you are, but be cognizant of that. And when other people bring it up, don't act like, oh, it's just there. Everybody's attacking Cardi B. I'm so mad. How dare you, fall down 9, get up 10, get up 10. No, we're not talking about you. We're talking about the dynamics that's going on. And if you can't acknowledge that, to me, that means you're weak as fuck.
I do that to even black gays who do shit around white space. I'm like, girl, you need to be careful doing this type of shit, creating this type of content, doing this type of shit, because that's how they see us, so you need to be careful. So I do see where you're going with this. I think,
but I do agree with you that like we should not have to change it, but I still think that we should be aware of what's going on.
It's both of them. It's how white people see her, but I feel like both of them. Like, I'm gonna give you a little bit. I'm gonna give white folks a lot too, but girl, be aware of how they're using you and playing your ass.
Yeah, understand who you are,
because you can do that. Honestly, you can do that shit. Be like, bitch, I know you tried. Don't be. She can do that and drag their ass in the same
breath.
That's what I would like to do. That's what I would like to see her do, because I would do that. Like, girl, bitch.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, people can even say that about Adrian, how he wears his outfits and stuff.
Right,
right. But he'll be kiki, but he'll let you know he. And that's what the thing is. I feel like Cardi B needs to understand that. I don't know personally how we can reach to her and let her know, hey, sis, this is what's going on. Honestly, when it comes to this conversation, I'm more interested in dragging the fuck out the labels and how they
Me too. Which is why
I pick these and invest.
I mean, that's more important.
I think even if we talk to the labels will say, well, y'all hoes ain't buying dark-skinned bitches music.
So what?
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know the chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
I don't know who to get at first, because the label, because I'm looking at a person who benefits from capitalism. Like, I can do certain things because I know it's going to create revenue and make me money. But is it right?
Is it worth it?
Is it right? I can literally do all types of bullshit and
I can get on here and put on all type of shit.
And be good, but I just know
it's not
worth it.
I think that I'm in a place right now with my own like race politic, I guess, with I just don't give a fuck. Like
I don't give a fuck.
Like, I'm gonna whatever I bring to that space in that moment is what I'm giving, and what you perceive of me is your business, not mine. Right? Like if I walk into a space and you feel like, damn, this nigga ghetto as hell, maybe I am. That's your problem, not mine. Like, if I walk into a space, oh wow, you're so articulate, you're so professional. Maybe I am. That's your problem, not mine. Because what I know about
what type
myself,
of space are you walking in? Are you walking in a space that's giving you 2 million, 3 million views in a night?
Of course not.
Exactly.
Of course not. But I also don't think that just because she is hyper visible.
Exactly.
But I also do understand hypervisibility on a much smaller scale, of course.
Right.
But I understand hypervisibility, and I understand that that there is a super pressure to make you exist in a way that you don't want to. And I think that's not something that Cardi. I think this is what maybe this is what it is that I really like about Cardi. Why I can't just let her go. I think that Cardi, to me, is really forcing folks to reckon with the celebrity TM, and she's really forcing folks to look at how we view celebs and what we expect of them. Like, when Cardi B went on private on Twitter, so many folks hounded her for that, and I was like, I applaud you. I think because we feel like we always have to have direct access to celebrities, that we don't recognize them as human beings.
But Beyonce hasn't tweeted in like 20 years.
Beyonce, we always hold Beyonce as a standard, and Beyonce is the standard, but Beyonce is Beyonce. Cardi B is not Beyonce.
And that's not an excuse to me. I think that a lot of people are giving Cardi B this, like, I think that a lot of people think that Cardi B is deeper than what she actually is. And what she has displayed, more importantly, what she has displayed to us that she is.
I'm not saying she was doing that intentionally. I don't think she did it, and like, I'm going to make them break it.
I'm not going to give her credit for it.
But I'm saying that. So I'm not assigning credit to her. What I'm saying is that
she's not going to break easily like everybody. She's not going to conform.
Right, and that she doesn't want to, and that is okay. Like, Beyonce hasn't tweeted in forever, sure, but Beyonce has also never been good at interviews, so she doesn't do them.
Right.
You're right.
Beyonce has
she doesn't have no personality.
She doesn't speak well. She knows that, so she doesn't do them. And when she gets on award shows and have to read shit, she's like, ooh, she struggles with that.
She on a plane right now.
And I think that the reason why people don't call her illiterate rats is because one, she's Beyonce, and two, she performs in such a respectable way that she doesn't have to exist that she doesn't have to worry about the way that Cardi B maneuvers because they maneuver in two different ways, right? Like Beyonce is a respectable black woman, love her down, but like the ways in which she moves, that's what she is, and so and that was my problem with people clowning Fantasia. That's my problem with people clowning Cardi B. That's my problem with all of this stuff because I don't get how we can be concerned and about like education rights in America and I don't know how we can know that black people suffer at disproportionate rates with illiteracy and still use that as an insult. Like that is anti-black to me, and not anti-black in like the theory, but like anti-black and like
in the very literal practice,
right? And I think that so I guess my concern is that what I assigned to Cardi, and this part of this is my own projection, and part of this is me needing to find not hero, but find like something to hold on to in this pop culture because otherwise I give the fuck up. But I think what I do assign to Cardi is that like she does force me to reckon with celebrity, and she helps me when I'm talking about hypervisibility. She helps me maneuver that conversation in a way that is popular and sexy and salient.
I guess to me, why I don't respect Cardi B is the same reason why I don't respect Azealia. Azealia has proven many times that she is Azealia Banks. She has proven many times that she's intelligent. She knows what the fuck she's talking about. Sometimes, like she can create coherent thoughts. But to me, in my opinion, I think Azealia Banks is lazy as shit, and she decides to do whatever the fuck she wants to do just because she can. And she, like you said, she has nothing to lose.
I think that, but I think that I think that is there's something so radical black feminist about that. I think there's something so insurrectionary about that because even though, of course, from this vantage point we can read on it clearly from two different ways, right. But I think that inherently there's something radical about a subject, especially a woman, especially a black woman, saying that I'm going to negotiate and navigate my performance how I want to, and I don't have to play towards whatever anybody else wants me to play towards. I don't have to go.
You talking about Cardi?
I'm talking about Cardi. I'm talking about Azealia. I'm talking about any black woman who who practices a political refusal in terms of what the culture says they should behave like, or what the culture says they should do or say. Like, I think that there's something radical about that, and I think that if there's anything that we can gain from, I mean, I'm not necessarily engaged in legibility. So I think that there's something radical black feminist about any black woman who practices a political refusal in terms of what a culture might, what kind of behaviors a culture might prescript for them, irrespective of what they're doing. Like there's a whole section of black radical feminism that talks about how agency inside of women who do sex work, or women who are in pornography, who are commodifying their bodies, who are playing to racialize pornography, and who are cheapening themselves for the white dollar, how that is like disgusting and how that's recapitulating to the system and so on and so forth. But they are still black feminists who say, like, though that might be true, we can still see these black women, or read these black women as practicing a political refusal for themselves, as trying to negotiate agency within their space, within their own bodies.
Okay.
And I think that is important. I think that is inherently, on a personal basis, a radical thing to do.
You're right. But the difference is we're talking about That's something completely different. We're talking about Azealia. First of all, we're talking about Azealia Banks, who called people tar babies,
Yes.
supported Donald Trump,
Yes.
tried to fucking talk about bleaching her fucking skin.
Yes.
And chopping off chickens' heads.
Listen,
Yes.
and then we're talking about Cardi B, who was extremely fucking transphobic. What else the fuck did she? I mean, you could go down the fucking list.
Yeah, she was called out.
And so, yes,
calling black women roaches and
Roaches and shit. So yes,
which I didn't understand a little bit.
Black feminism is radical. It's amazing, but it has to be black feminism. You don't get to call.
And that's why I'm not. That's why I didn't say Cardi B and Azealia Banks are black feminists. I said
So
that
the
there is
argument
something.
is not valid.
No. It is because what I'm doing is I'm reading onto, or I'm reading these people through a prism. So I'm reading them through
Fuck
an
the
analytic.
prism. You just said that they are not.
We're not going to fuck the prism because we're going to read.
Black feminists. So why?
Because
so
right, I'm
the
saying,
whole
but
argument you made was black feminism, so it does not.
No, the
apply.
argument that I made is that black women all around the world, feminists or not, practice certain politics of refusal. That the tradition and the philosophy of black radical feminism has extrapolated from.
But it has to
and
lead to their
unpacked.
liberation. Azealia Banks
Okay.
has not led to her fucking
Sure.
own liberation. She's been talking about supporting Donald Trump. She's been talking about bleaching her fucking skin. It is a reversal of the very thing that you're talking about.
So as Angela Davis said, freedom is a constant struggle. So this teleological idea of liberation that you're using, I'm not understanding that. But if we're going to work with this idea of liberation that is in one goal, is binary, then sure, we can talk about the ways in which Azealia Banks and Cardi B are not necessarily working towards their liberation.
So you're
however,
saying exactly what I'm saying?
no. However, what I'm saying is that irrespective of how you may be reading, they're working out of their own.
I'm reading it.
Yes, this is how you're reading it. Well, you don't have any monopoly on the truth.
What are you talking about?
So
a black person supporting Donald Trump,
postulation
is literally a reversal of whatever they're trying to accomplish.
Sure. And I didn't say that. I didn't say that. However, what I am going to remain saying is that your postulation has no monopoly on the truth. So you can read, we're all reading these people. We're all doing a cultural critique. So we're all saying this is what is there, and we're going to extrapolate from here to make a point. And what I'm saying is, just how it is true that Azealia Banks has been transphobic. I mean, Azealia Banks has been anti-queer, has been a supporter of Donald Trump.
Yeah,
the same way in which Cardi B is transphobic and has been homophobic and has said sexually violent things. Those things are facts. They're true. However, what I am also saying that outside of those things, we've already addressed that, so I'm not going to continue rehashing the same thing. I'm trying to imagine these people or talk about these people in a different way that might lead the conversation to somewhere where we read them a little bit more generatively. And what I am saying is that Cardi B and Azealia Banks are both black women who, though recapitulate to the system in their various amounts of ways, they also are known for practicing refusal to a cultural system that says black women need to perform in this way to be palatable and to be legible.
That's not enough.
And that is a fact.
That's not enough.
And what I'm saying is that black radical tradition, black radical feminism has always acknowledged that, has always called that black radical feminist praxis. And if you don't know what black radical feminist praxis has, what practicers of black radical feminism have said that, Lamonda H. Stallings, we can talk about Ariane Cruz, we can talk about all these people who read these women who refuse certain ideas of women performing for the eyes of white people, or performing in these kind of iconic zones in this radical refusing way that doesn't recapitulate to these scripts.
Why do you think it's not enough, Adrian?
It's not enough. Because that's the same argument that men use to defend Kanye West. It's not enough.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. It's the same exact argument.
The reason why it's not, because this is feminism, and whatever you're saying is whatever you're saying.
No. What you just told me is that though they are transphobic, though they do this, though they do that, they really stand up against the.
That's not what I said.
That's
not what I said. I said this is true. Did I not say that? I said these are the facts.
Okay, keep going.
I said these are the facts.
Okay, which is what I said.
I also said that these black women do certain things that black radical feminism would name as resistance in a feminist, black radical feminist practice.
And that's true.
And that is true because any woman who refuses the script,
no matter
which
what she's
patriarchy-
done, no matter
It's not
if
that
she's
he's assigning
because feminism is something that we're all negotiating, right? And we're all trying to work through. So yes, there I go to Morehouse and Spelman is right across the street from me. There are women over at Spelman who recapitulate to patriarchy all day and do transphobic shit all the time. But they're also still trying to negotiate living as a woman in a patriarchal system.
Yes,
and the ways in which they're negotiating, I'm not going to negate the ways in which they are negotiating patriarchy because they might be recapitulating to other zones of patriarchy as well. It's intersectional.
That's probably the difference. Because I will respect you if you understand what you're doing. I will not respect you if you continue to do certain things. You have access, you have money, you have power. And that these people who are telling you that you're doing these certain things and you're ignoring them and you're acting like they're not making any sense. Oh, everyone's against Cardi. Oh, why y'all dragging Azealia Banks? Yes, you do these certain things. Yes, this is how you cope with society, with how society fucks you. But when people are telling you and informing you about the things you're fucking doing and you don't accept it and you act like everyone's just like against you and shit, you're being an ignorant asshole at that point. And you're completely like, it's cool. Yeah, We've been subject to fucking homophobia and fucked up shit, but we don't drag the shit out of every faggot we see. Fuck that. I will still have to drag y'all hoes for doing that shit. Fuck that. Like, it does affect us. It's fucked up. And we do internalize it, how we drink, how we smoke, whatever the fuck we do to deal with it. But bitch, we are not out here dragging the fuck out of other people who are like us. It's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna excuse it. Okay. And it's cool that that's how you deal with that shit. It's fine, but I'm not accepting it. And maybe that's other people, but I'm gonna drag the shit out. I'm gonna drag the shit out of myself too.
Deshaun, seemed like you had something to say.
I do.
And you can.
And I can. And I will. So I think that this is why I continue to make I statements, because anyone who watches this cannot say Deshaun said that. Deshaun said what Deshaun feels. It's not about anybody else but me. Mm-hmm. I don't excuse anything that Cardi does. I don't stand Azealia Banks, and we can talk about that if you want to, but I don't stand her.
Right.
I think that.
Why don't you stand?
Cardi B, Azealia Banks
Does Cardi B on your mind?
Has continued to make these same horrific comments with no remorse, mm-hmm. with no wanting to be educated, with none of that, right? Like the ways in which Cardi B responds to her attackers is drastically different mm-hmm. than Azealia Banks, and I think Azealia Banks does not want to be to reconcile with her past and present comments, mm-hmm. and I also think that Azealia Banks. Maybe not even Azealia Banks, but people who stand Azealia Banks use her mental illness as an excuse for her bigotry, and that fucks me up. Because I am very much so a person with depression and anxiety. I have been living with it since I was 9 years old, and you're not going to catch me saying, well, it was because I was depressed that I've said this, or because I had anxiety that I said this.
For that, though, because you can't speak for somebody else.
No, but we're talking about Cardi B.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
we're talking about Cardi B.
I definitely get what you're saying when you're saying that. I definitely get that. But I think you have to be careful even saying, I'm sure you know that, when you're saying stuff like, when you're saying, well, you deal with certain stuff, and you would never do that.
Right, that's what I said. Mm-hmm. I'm making I statements on that for that exact mm-hmm. reason. I know that we are making space for mm-hmm. whatever, and that's fine. And that is to introduce this next point, which is that if you don't understand Cardi B, you don't have to. I don't think anybody is. You don't have to stand Cardi B. Right. You don't have to like Cardi B.
That's very lazy.
I don't think it's lazy. I think it's the truth.
Extremely
right?
lazy.
Well, let me finish. So what I'm saying is that no one is forcing you to stand Cardi B. Nobody is requiring you to stand Cardi B. I'm positive. I think I'm the leader of the.
As much as she is in our face on social media and stuff on everything.
I think that So that is to say that there are going to be people who are going to excuse or reckon with or reconcile with Azealia Banks' words and her statements, and that's fair to that's for them to do, and that's for their own personal like politic and whatever, because one, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, and two, we do have to cope with this shit. So whatever you feel is best for you, like, do that shit. Now, there's a difference between consuming R. Kelly and consuming Azealia Banks, but I won't talk about that in this moment.
We'll get to that
because that I think is not as important.
Do you feel like that they hold Banks accountable the same way they do? Like, do they hold a Cardi B accountable the same way they hold?
Absolutely. I think that Cardi B has been under fire for. Cardi B is still under fire for shit that she said several years ago.
Has she lost anything?
But Azealia Banks has never
as Azealia Banks. Are you serious? I don't think that absolutely, and I think the reason which she made already was that Azealia Banks has done things or said things repeatedly, ritualistically in ways
egregious to who? Because she can say some things that might hurt our feelings, but if it's not hurting the bottom line, the industry that's making money for the labels and shit. If they feel like, it's not. I mean, we know that there have been certain celebrities who have said and done some things, and they have not been held accountable. Even Harvey Weinstein is a perfect example of that. Mm-hmm. They've been having conversations about him doing shit, but like he's still rich as fuck. Mm-hmm. Even though they counseled and sued him, he still got coin. Cardi B hasn't lost shit,
and that's what I'm saying.
We can counsel her all we want, but the industry has not counseled her.
And what we're saying is that Azealia Banks was never on the same level that Cardi B is.
But why is that? If we go back to the conversation about
colorism, we can get to all of that. We can.
Yeah. And we already said all that.
Right? But what I'm saying is that what we cannot do is pretend that Azealia Banks has ever had the same reach that Cardi B has, because that's not the truth. Right. And so when we talk about what people lose in these conversations,
why she never had it when she
we've already discussed all of that though. Like we've already talked about colorism, we've already talked about all that stuff. But Cardi B was going to have more reach because Cardi B has been known for her social media. Cardi B has been on reality TV.
She's not going to be held to.
So what?
Which is not going to hurt her as much. But that's what I'm saying, because if you're saying all that, she's already hired because of this,
Let me
and
finish
that.
the statement. Let me finish the statement.
She's hired because this and that.
Let me finish
and
the
then
statement.
She's not going to be counseled based off of that.
That's
too,
not.
then.
Let me
That's
finish
what
the
I
statement.
believe. That's what I believe.
Right, but you asked me a question, so I want to answer it.
Yes, I want you to hurry up and get it to me. Can we run out of time?
Well, I'm trying, but so what I'm saying is that Cardi B and Azealia Banks never exist on the same level, and because of that, we cannot expect that Cardi B is going to have to fucking make another account and not be verified, because they were never on the same level. So like, yeah, we can talk about colorism and everything else, but I think that a lot of times we apply structural things to things that are really not so structural. I think that we apply like structural conversations and issues to things that can be explained in other terms. That we can
break it down.
I think both and so. Yes, it is true that Cardi B exists in this way, that Azealia Banks doesn't because of colorism. Yes, it is true that Cardi B exists in this way, that Azealia Banks doesn't because people have excused certain things that Cardi B has said that they haven't excused from Azealia Banks. It is also true, there's no but, it is also true that Cardi B has apologized in a way that Azealia Banks never has and never will. Right. And it's also true that Cardi B has built a following that was already more, like, a lot larger than Azealia Banks, and therefore she will not experience the same repercussions or consequences that Azealia Banks has.
I think Azealia Banks has tried to apologize. Did anybody watch the full interview on the Breakfast Club?
I don't watch the Breakfast Club.
Everyone is missing the point. We're talking about why Cardi B was allowed to do that and allowed to build up the following in the first place. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that Cardi B was allowed to, like, Cardi B is she is allowed to be this caricature. She is allowed.
Do you think that?
Already have said that.
But that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. She was allowed to do that in the first place, which allowed her to build up this audience, which allowed her to get her ass on the fucking love and hip hop, which allowed her to, and she continues to be reckless, just like Azealia Banks continues to be reckless.
But that's what I'm saying.
Azealia Banks
continues to be reckless. I think people continue to pull from her already reckless moments and are using that weaponry against her.
Yeah.
And that is where my issue lies.
I don't think it's been direct recklessness, but I think even her responding how she responded to Azealia Banks and saying some of the things, because Azealia Banks, when she said, the fact that you're saying, joking about me bleaching my skin means that you don't even understand.
And I missed that video that she responded with, so she probably did say a lot in there that I
But it wasn't even a video, it was
it was
in
a
her
tweet.
statement. Oh, see, I didn't
She joked, she responded to something on the Shade Room, and she said, she clapped back, she said, well, girl, bitch, you out here bleaching your skin, da 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 da. And Azealia Banks said, girl, you don't get it. Like,
I'm bleaching my skin.
Right, because I'm fucking
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to get what you at.
That makes sense.
I definitely think you understand. I think you get that. I'm not saying that you do, but it's very complex. And I think even when we talk about Cardi B's blackness or what if, and it, like, none of us are Afro-Latinx, so we can't
Right.
have that conversation about that. But I do think a lot for.
But we can't say that she's black because she's African.
Because she is black.
No, yeah, we're talking about the nuances. We can't really talk about the nuances.
But I'm on the fence because I don't know if white America looks at her as black.
I'm not concerned about.
I think they look at her as safe black.
I'm not concerned about.
So I guess that's
I can't say that. I can't say that because white America has helped her get to where
yeah.
she's
So that's what I'm saying.
at.
So that's my problem. I guess that we finally got to the fundamental of the problem. Is that I guess you and Cardi B don't give a fuck about how white America looks at her when in actuality it's very important how they look at her. And the fact that she won't recognize or acknowledge how white America looks at her is to me, very fucking problematic. And the fact that she can't even understand critiques in regards to that same issue, to me is very lazy.
I think
people
that
say she's racially ambiguous.
I think that
That's how
anyway. I think that demanding or requesting from a black woman that she reckon with the thoughts and feelings of white people is problematic. I think that is what's problematic. Like I genuinely do not give a single fuck about what white people think about Cardi B or what they think about me or what they think about black folks, right? Like, I think that when
because they've proven time and time again that racialized analysis is trash.
But it is still important. It is still important. It's still important because it is still important
because they're able to
light-skinned people in this country are viewed by white people in a different way than dark-skinned people are viewed in this country. Will you agree?
I know that.
Okay, so why would you not acknowledge that? That affords you different privileges and it affords you different ways.
Who hasn't?
That's what y'all
just said that
exactly.
y'all didn't care about.
But y'all said that y'all didn't care. And that's what we're asking her to acknowledge. But the fact
we're not talking about the thought. We're not talking about the thought process. We're talking about the thought process and what you're able to do by putting power and money behind this shit. Because a label was white owned can say, bitch, I'm fucking with this bitch more because she's light skinned, she's racially ambiguous, all that bullshit everybody be saying. I'm more interested in giving her time than I will
a dark-skinned motherfucker.
And we see that even when we
don't speak Spanish.
We see that because even when we look at music videos, how black men, how they fucking looked at black women. I guarantee you, it wasn't just their anti-blackness, but it was the white labels telling them like,
and it's not just
don't nobody want to see that black ass shit. Get you some. This is what you need to put in your video. And I know the labels do that because I know people who have worked who are dark-skinned dancers who said they didn't get chose for this because the people high up said you're not going to look good on camera.
And I think that some people think that I think that it's Cardi. No, wait. I think that some people think that I think it's Cardi B's fault. It is not Cardi B's fault. How society looks at her and how she benefits from it because she does.
I think she would do better.
The fact that she does not acknowledge that she benefits from it is what pisses me off.
I think if she was to do that, say, you know what, girls, I get it. I guarantee
that
you,
makes sense.
I guarantee if she was to say, like, girl, I get it. You know what? I'm gonna do a little bit more.
Even if she said Azealia Banks is a trash,
that girl got a point.
I understand.
But
the point that she was making, I understand what y'all saying, and I acknowledge it, and I will try to. And everyone has to try to do something. And I know that it's like weird to say that, but everyone has to try. Even me as a male, I do have to understand what women have to go through, even when I don't experience it as a kid. You know what I mean? So I think, to me, I guess that's the fundamental difference. To me, that she won't acknowledge how society does favor her in certain ways, not in every way, obviously, because she's still, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like, I really find it disappointing that she will not acknowledge how society does acknowledge her,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to other people who are not allowed to do the same thing that she does.
Okay.
And I feel like she doesn't have
We're
that.
gonna let you tell it, and then we'll give
And
her
I
one
think,
final.
yeah, and I think that's why I was trying to, what I was trying to name earlier in terms of this black feminist political refusal is what she's doing, and what not only she, but Azealia Banks too, what they are doing now in terms of kind of resisting, like going against what the system has is telling them to do.
Whether wrong or right.
Whether wrong or right.
I see what you're saying.
And I think that, like, right, of course, that
She should
that
give it a
politic
choice.
right now is not enough, because we know that, okay,
Okay.
it's almost a commodity now that you're refusing to kind of be legible, refusing to be the grammar queen. Like, it's almost a commodity now that you're able to do that. And some people are more able to do that than others because of their racialization.
Right.
I agree there, but I also fundamentally was just trying to name the fact that they are doing something that is political, and that
Yeah,
whether they're
they're
not
working
doing
on
it or whether they don't, whether they
Okay.
are unconscious or conscious of it.
And
Okay, I guess the same thing. The way I'm seeing it is a woman's right to choose when it comes to abortion. Like, it's no right or wrong. It's whatever the woman wants to do. Is her body. She can do what the fuck she wants to do.
or the person with the vagina. And the
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it's important for them to make that decision. I really see that. I appreciate that. You had something to say to Sean?
Just my last thought, is that I am not Afro-Latinx, but I do feel the need to also bring in that point that, like, I think a lot of what people are asking of Cardi and demanding of her is super complex and nuanced, because she is also this Afro-Latinx woman who's reckoning with her own race, her own heritage, and I think that. And this is not on no, like, dark-skinned black people always trying to gatekeep blackness. Like,
Right.
fuck that shit. But it is to say that, like, I think that American folks, black American folks, do a terrible job with really reckoning with race and understanding it outside of a singular context.
Yeah.
And I think that contributes a lot to the anti-Cardi bullshit and the hate that she receives. But I want to make that point to be larger than just Cardi, because I don't like having conversations, even though we just had one, that are like around celebrity alone, because it's not about them. But that, like, when we talk about, I hate seeing how many people won't acknowledge Cardi B as black, or won't even reckon with the fact that she's in our community because of the fact that she hasn't said it, which is untrue. But it's also untrue. Like, it's unfair to me that folks refuse to recognize this woman as black and understand the nuances that come along with grappling with race in an America that doesn't allow you to really be mixed race or different ethnicities.
I agree with that.
And like having to navigate spaces like that. So
I agree with
I think
that.
that's might be.
So real quick, because y'all hosts love talking, what I want you to give me one full sentence of what you will tell Cardi B if she was listening right now, starting with Jatella.
Do more in terms of where you're taking your politic around race, around womanhood, and around anti-respectability.
Adrian?
Get rid of these yes men in your camp. There is no reason for your PR manager to have a meltdown. Absolutely none. Why does your PR manager need a damage control?
Jesus.
Do better.
The black one too. All right, speaking of black.
Period. My one and only statement to her would be, girl, hire me. And I can give you access to all the folks you need to educate you in the ways that you need to, as long as you pay and you'll have it right.
My only response is looking for a business perspective. Sometimes the best response is no response. Trust me. I'm just gonna be honest.
That's some good ass advice for real.
If you are not on that level, there's some things that I don't understand yet, but I just shut the fuck up. Because you don't have to speak on a public platform or whatever to say any goddamn thing. You don't have to say that shit. You can be doing work behind the scenes. Fuck that. Take your ass off social media. I don't mind that you deleting all that type of stuff and you do whatever you need to do, because you are with child. and we want you to, bring a healthy child into this world. But I think that you do a lot of work researching people saying about you,
Yes,
and it's not even a
yeah.
lot of people. It's like 5% of people who probably don't like you. 'Cause
Ignore
you
it. Fuck it.
You do have the number one. Girl, you got so many number ones. You can be non-binary or whatever. Fuck. Ignore it. Can you come up with something else?
Can you come up with something else?
We still love you, but we just want to see you do more.
Yes, yes.
And that's
we
just-
love black women.
Yes, and I
Completely.
love you.
Yes,
You're the
yes.
ones who don't consider you as black.
Girl.
And girl, that's their problem, not yours.
Yeah, listen,
To be very
Girl, she
clear.
better fuck at you high hustle so she can pay her rent. All right.